Going through the strain of each day can leave you feeling detached, unmotivated, numb, and even trapped. And it is important to know how you deal with this whenever you feel this way. Hello, Saints. Welcome to a special episode of Catholic Faith Forum. I am Evelyn Iwoha, and on today's episode, we want to find out how to deal with mental exhaustion. Participating in this discussion are two captivating personalities we can't wait to meet. Till after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back, Saints. And if you're joining us for the first time, this is Catholic Faith Forum. I am Evelyn Iwoha. And on today's episode, we want to find out how to deal with mental exhaustion. Allow me to introduce to you my very special guests in person of Reverend Father Jude Mary Owo and Kirian Obinwa. Woo! You're very much welcome. Thank you for coming.
You left out the OP. I'm an OP.
OP.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I was just pulling your leg. Don't worry, your money will be complete.
All right, thank you. Kirian Obinwa is a management consultant focused on energy, climate, and sustainability. He's a huge fan of Chelsea, ardent FIFA player, and a lover of good music.
All right.
So, Kirian, just before we get into the conversation now, I would like you, this FIFA player, have you, when was the last time you played football?
Football itself?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I play football as well, but you know, when I mentioned FIFA there, I was talking more about video games, and my victims speak for themselves. Many of them would be watching this properly.
Okay.
Why? So yes, it's just I give them tips sometimes.
So it's not just a game player, you're also a mentor.
Yes, I'm also a mentor. I teach some of them sometimes as well.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to ask, have you ever been tired? I would like Kirian to go first, then Patrick.
I mean, everybody has been tired. At the moment, I'm tired, honestly. But in terms of, I don't know if you want me to answer the question from a perspective of mental exhaustion.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So that happens, regularly, largely due to the kind of work I do.
Okay.
So it's a really, really fast-paced environment.
Wow.
And the goal of what I do is to solve complex problems for clients. So what this means is every single minute of the day, I'm thinking strategically. And it can get really, really exhausting.
Wow.
At some point, your brain can only do so much.
Yeah.
You will have exhaustions sometimes. You will not always, be on top of your game to be able to, do the kind of things that we're supposed to do. Okay. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
But what
we
about
go through
you?
This.
Yeah, mental exhaustion is a reality, and I think it's God's own way. Sorry, I'm bringing God into this, but I think it's God's own way of helping us calm down. Because if we don't feel tired, we will die. We'll just drop dead. So that tiredness is a reminder that you're human. Okay. There's only so much you can take or do.
True.
And then there is the need to sometimes just reset. Even your computer, at least the computer also mimics human behavior, but at some point you need to put it to sleep. Sometimes you have to shut it down. Sometimes putting it to sleep will not help. Just to completely shut it down. So when the body feels tired, it needs necessarily to just shut down and restart again. Yeah.
So I would like you to explain more.
Okay.
Mental exhaustion. You're basically telling me now that you feel tired. You want to get some rest, and you already stated, the Padre, that becoming mentally exhausted is more like your body telling you that you need rest, more than your body telling you that you are human and you cannot run through that. Padre, how did you feel? Is it that you lost concentration at some point? You felt like sitting down, you felt like not even doing anything at all? Like, what happened?
With what he said, he mentioned the idea of work and how that can be challenging because you're always on your toes, solving problems, most times trying to figure out solutions. It's no different for a priest. Okay. Priest is always interfacing with different kinds of people, and if you're in my shoes too, you know that I'm not just a priest who works in a parish. I also interface with clients for a media house. So it's a lot of work, and I'm also a content creator. So every single day, I'm creating something. Either it's my reflections, writing my reflections, which I've been doing for 16 years now.
Wow.
Every single day. It doesn't matter whether I'm in Alaska or in Moscow or whatever part of the globe. I have to write that reflection each day. And then now I don't just write. I also have to design a poster version of it. And then I come to the office here almost on a daily basis. If I don't come, my student manager will call me and say, Father, I'm in the office. So I have to be here and spend a few hours. But then in the midst of my busy schedule, of course, people call you to say, Father, I need to speak with you about something. And many times you're not even aware of what they want to talk about. So there on the spot, you have to provide solutions and all of that. So somewhere in between the day, I try to take some rest. When I can't, I try to end the day earlier than I ordinarily will, so that I go to bed on time and then rest. If I don't, I'll crash. I know that for a certain. Wow.
Kieran, what about you? I would like to ask this one, that aside work, which other thing has ever made you mentally exhausted?
So I'm what you would call a church boy. So when I'm not working, most of the time I'm, organizing activities and leading things in church. So when work is not, getting me mentally exhausted, sometimes, even working in church, like, Father has said here, can actually get you exhausted as well. So yes, I think that's the other thing aside work that would typically get me exhausted.
I don't know if I'm right to think that maybe relationship failures or sometimes disappointment, or even basically maybe failures in academics or one thing or the other could make people mentally exhausted.
Sure. Sometimes you put in the work and you don't get the expected outcome. It makes you feel like you've spent your energy without any profit. And that can demoralize and sometimes make you feel exhausted. And when somebody tells you, let's do this again, like, what's the use? I've put in so much time, I've put in so much effort, and nothing good came out of it. Nothing profitable came out of it. Yes, that can be a source for mental exhaustion. And it's all right to be mentally exhausted, to feel deflated because your expectations were not met or your goals were not achieved. But it's also good that you give yourself some credit to say, at least I put in the work. And something good definitely came out of it. You built yourself, you built capacity, and you can assess what you've done and say, okay, where did I not get it right? And then relaunch again after you've taken some rest.
Yes. Would you like to add anything, or you agree with Padre?
No, I do. I 100% agree with him. You have to take some rest at some point, and that's typically almost the only way you would be able to deal with mental exhaustion. I 100% agree with Padre.
Okay, so this one is a little direct, but what do you do when you're mentally exhausted? You go to bed?
I sleep.
You sleep? You eat?
I just sleep. I sleep. And sometimes I tell people, if I'm tired and I'm hungry, I go to sleep.
Wow.
That doesn't matter how hungry I am. I just go to sleep
hungry.
I go to sleep hungry. If I have to choose, like I said, if I have to choose, it's sleep. Sleep is a very wonderful reset for me. But when the sleep, I start dreaming of food, then I wake up.
We have to go on a very short break. Let's find out who the saint of the week is. Stay with us.
Our saint of the week is Pope Pascal. Pascal Massimi was born in the 9th century to Bonosus and Episcopa Theodora in Lazio. His parents were of the wealthy Massimi family. When young Pascal became an adult, he took the orders of a Catholic priest. During his pontificate, Pascal was continually concerned with the relations of the papacy to the recently founded Frankish Empire under Charlemagne's son and successor, Louis the Pious. Louis forcibly imposed on the church an unprecedented reform and reorganization of monasteries and dioceses, which concurrently arranging the empire and trying to conform to the safeguarding of Christian order and unity. In 823, he crowned Louis's son, Lothar I, as co-emperor, a deed that was significant because it initiated the handing of a sword by the Pope to the emperor as a symbol of the temporal power that was to suppress evil. It also formalized the practice of crowning the emperor in Rome. Meanwhile, in Rome, an anti-Frankish movement was developing, which Pascal supposedly joined. Some of his servants executed at the Curia 2 leaders of the Frankish party accused of plotting against Pascal and of favoring imperial control of Rome. Louis ordered an investigation at which Pascal was forced to clear himself by an oath of purgation. Like several of his predecessors, the new pope spent much of his time dealing with the issue of iconoclasm. Those who supported iconoclasm believed that all statues and images of religious figures should be destroyed based on the passage from the Bible's book of Exodus that warns against graven images. The Byzantine Empire was a proponent of iconoclasm, which the Roman Catholic Church took the opposite view. The Church held that statues of such figures as the Virgin Mary, Jesus, and saints were important touchstones for the people of the Church. The issue of iconoclasm resulted in an ongoing Cold War with the Byzantine Empire, which represented the Eastern Orthodox faction of the Catholic Church. That Cold War frequently broke out into hot wars. Pope Pascal I undertook a number of ambitious construction projects. He commissioned the building of 3 of Rome's most historic basilicas. These are Santa Prassede, Santa Cecilia in Trastevere, and Santa Maria in Dominica. Additionally, Pope Pascal ordered a major renovation of the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore. When Pope Pascal I died in 824, the Roman Curia denied him the honor of burial in St. Peter's Basilica, where all popes are interred. They cited his harsh treatment of Roman citizens. He was placed instead in the church he built, Santa Prassede. It took well more than 500 years, but Pope Pascal I finally achieved sainthood in the late 16th century. The feast day of Saint Pascal is celebrated on February the 11th of the Roman Catholic calendar. Pope Pascal, pray for us.
Welcome back, Saints. And if you're joining us for the first time, our discussion is still centered on how to deal with mental exhaustion. Just before the break, Kieran, you were going to tell us how you deal with mental exhaustion, what you do when you're mentally exhausted.
Yeah. So, yes, am I allowed to tell stories here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. So, I had this experience at work where nothing I was doing was working.
Wow.
I was under a lot of pressure, meetings after meetings, and I still had to deliver. So I remember, typically I'm an effective person,
okay,
but for 1 good hour, I couldn't do anything at all. So I kept on staring at my computer, like thinking up ideas, and I could not come up with anything at all.
Wow.
And, it almost led to a panic attack. And this was, it was essentially built up tension from weeks of not taking, the breaks that Father talked about before.
Yeah.
And, I got to the breaking point. I could not do anything for hours. And I think what I did was to take a step back. Instead of spending hours in front of the laptop doing nothing, I took a step back. Luckily, my office has a rooftop.
Oh, nice.
So I went to the rooftop to I spent around 1 hour, 2 hours there, just staring at the sky. So I didn't have anything to do. It was a real panic attack from mental exhaustion.
Okay.
So I took a step back there. I actually did pray a little there just to give myself confidence. Prayer always gives us confidence.
Yeah.
So I prayed a little to give myself confidence, and I went back and started from the simplest thing.
Okay.
So, I was looking at this problem, that it seemed too big to me before, but I think we should always take a step back, rest a little, and start from the simplest thing. So if the simplest task is sending out an email, if it's writing your to-do list, that is the simplest task, please go ahead and do it. If your simplest task is getting out of your house, that should be your first step. So do the easiest thing and take it from there. That's my idea of how you would typically deal with it.
Sometimes I tell people that when they complain to me that evening I'm really tired, I tell them that why don't you just write it down, list out what you want to do, and then just pick it one step at the other. Because sometimes our mental exhaustion could come from the fact that we're trying to handle a lot of things at the same time, and you made mention of tension and the pressure. So the fact that you're feeling like I have to meet up with all these expectations at the same time, rather than taking it one step at a time, could actually make somebody mentally exhausted.
Sure.
You're sure aware that sometimes you get physically tired.
Sure.
Is there a link or a difference between being mentally exhausted and being physically exhausted?
Of course, you're dealing with the human body, and the human body is a whole, it's an integral whole.
Yeah.
And your brain could be compared to a central processing unit in a computer.
Of course.
So it sends signals to your body that, look, you're getting tired. The same way too, it tells you that you're probably thinking too hard or you've been doing this mental task for too long. So it sends signals to different aspects of your body to inform you that certain things are not they're not functioning at optimal. So yes, with your mind, often actually mental work consumes more energy. Most people don't even realize it. Thinking and preparing and forecasting and all of those things create more. They take more juice from you. When I was in school, we have to turn in a term paper and a summary for every course. A summary for every class and a term paper for every course. And then one of the things that was provided for us, people say you're living the soft life, was you have Gary in the recreation room and sugar, just in case you're running low. You go and you top up and then you come back and work.
They call it groceries.
Yeah,
now.
it's groceries. Yeah. No, anyway, Gary and sugar. So, but then the idea was, initially when I got into the student aid, I was like, we always eat 3 times a day. So what is the need for any other extra thing in between? Until when school began, I said, oh, okay, there's wisdom. Some people have seen this and then realize that, you need to sometimes step back and refuel in order to come back and do your work.
Kirian, do you have something to say?
That's regarding the relationship between mental and physical exhaustion.
Yes.
So I think they are linked, especially, from the mental side of things. So you cannot be exhausted mentally and still be able to function. That it's going to translate to your physical. You would drag your steps. Mm-hmm. You'll be walking, but it's not you that is walking.
Your body will be moving.
Yes, your body will be moving you. You're not the one. So, yes, I think there's a strong relationship there.
Okay.
It's possible for you to be physically exhausted, and all you have to do is just rest or eat.
Yeah.
Yes, you could spend the whole day working or reading, and then by 3 p.m. you've not eaten. You will get physically, maybe aside father said he'll go to sleep.
Of course, sometimes it's just priority. For me, I just feel if I rest, I'll feel a lot better. Sometimes hunger is not really the biggest problem. It's just that you're exhausted at that time. Yeah. Sometimes when it's hunger, of course, you deal with hunger as it comes. Yeah. Sometimes, what about the times you don't have anything to eat? What do?
You pray to God for something to eat. Something must come from somewhere.
Of course. I have met people who are cranky whenever they are exhausted.
Yes, so.
They feel very, very irritated.
Definitely.
Very little things get them angry.
Exactly.
They start complaining a lot. But is it possible that they do not know that they are mentally exhausted?
It's possible, but at that time you're not thinking straight. It's just a function of the mind. But then it takes self-awareness to start saying, why am I reacting? Why am I reacting to everything? And then step back and say, probably I'm tired. Let me just rest a bit. It comes from experience. It's experience. So I'm sure as they're watching this episode now, they could also see that probably that's the reason why I get cranky sometimes. I know that when I start feeling that way too, I know that I'm tired. I just need to rest. Maybe sometimes, some of those times I just forget myself and I go, oh, it's 2 p.m. I should be lying down by now. So sometimes it can happen. Yes.
I'd like to ask Kirian this question. Have you ever met anybody that has been mentally exhausted and probably you just talk to the person for a while and then afterwards the person comes to you and tell you, yes, thank you, Kirian. Thank you for talking to me or stuff like that. Have you ever been able to bring someone out of their mental exhaustion?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I've been able to do that.
Okay.
But I do try to talk to people about what it means to be mentally exhausted, what it means to be stressed to the point of break. Because I feel like I can relate to it a lot. So anytime I see someone going through something similar, I try to offer words of encouragement.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know about them coming back to me, but I think it's something that we owe ourselves as a society.
Yeah.
So we should try as much as possible to talk to people who you feel are at the point of break. I think it's our duty to do it.
Yeah.
And
especially people you're close to who take your word seriously.
Yes,
say,
yes.
Hey, maybe you need to take a rest.
The conversation is getting really interesting, but we have to take another short break. It's time for the Know Your Faith session. Stay with us.
You're welcome to another episode of Know Your Faith series. I am Elefachi. Today, we'll be looking at why the Catholic Church uses pew. First of all, the word pew comes from the old French word puer, meaning to push or thrust. Now, a pew is a long chair made with wood, typically with a backrest that has a kneeler. The pew was made available in the Catholic Church because, 1, it shows equality. Now, the Catholic Church wanted the rich and the poor to come together and sit in the presence of God. And since the pew is a long chair, there'll be a mix-up, when the congregation are sitting down. 2, it shows humility. Whenever we are in the church, we humble ourselves before God, just like the book of Proverbs 16 verses 18. The Catholic Church also believes that the pew is also a way of each individual trying to show reverence to God. And lastly, it makes it easier for people to kneel during the consecration. Now you know why we use pews in the Catholic Church. Thank you for staying till this point. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominican Media and follow us on our social media handles at Dominican Media on Instagram. Until next time, be bold, be Catholic.
Welcome back, and our discussion is still focused on how to deal with mental exhaustion. And just before the break, Padre, you're making us to understand that it's important for someone to take the necessary breaks. It's important for someone to be self-aware. So I don't know, but I would like to ask that. Do you think mental exhaustion could lead to more serious mental health
Of course,
conditions?
it could. Like I said, the body is such an integral whole that it warns you. It gives you warning signs. So those warning signs are maybe stress, crankiness, feelings of restlessness, inability to sleep. So all of these things contribute to tell you, you need to slow down, you need to take a rest, you need to sleep, you need to stay off what is causing you stress. And so when you do not receive those, when you do not adhere or obey those alarm signs, then you're preparing yourself for something worse.
Wow. So, Kirian, do you think one should seek professional help when they are mentally exhausted?
Definitely. I think for sure it's something that you should explore. Of course, the first step would be trying as much as possible to talk to the people closest to you. Someone who you think has been in similar situation, who can potentially help. But the moment you find that it's beginning to affect other areas of your life, I do think that it's fine. It's okay to seek professional help.
Okay, so what do you think would be the specific professions or maybe lifestyle that are prone to mental exhaustion?
Because things that have to do with planning and thinking, like what he does, solution, people in the solution industry, consultancy firms, generally anything that involves you doing a lot of planning, talking, preparing, you're prone to mental exhaustion. But I just think it's people have to know themselves. Because I think almost every profession involves some level of planning and thinking and all of that. So, but you just have to know yourself and know when to say, hey, step back and rest. And then in such situations, people who are at the helm of affairs, those who are in the directing and form of it, and those who are heads of departments to have more to do than those who are their subordinates. So they should learn to delegate. And learn to give works to delegate some of the roles that you don't necessarily have to be immediately involved or responsible for to others, so that you don't kill yourself before your time. Because if you do, somebody else will take your job.
True. My dad would say, don't think you're the best. You can easily replace.
Exactly.
I would like to know, there's some people that feel like rather than sleep, they're taking the bread over the bed, and
That's a very good quote.
okay, and then they spend the hours for sleep, using it to work extra. People like, for example, I have a friend. He's a tech guy. So you can imagine someone up at 3, still working and still telling that he has more work to do. I'm like, when would you sleep? So could sleep deprivation lead to mental exhaustion too?
Yeah, insomnia is a reality. And I tell such people who say, oh, I find it difficult to sleep, to try staying away from their screens hours before they go to bed, because increase on screen time has been involved in sleeplessness. Okay. So you're watching something on your phone, you're working too long on your laptop. Those things can the light coming from your screens can make your mind or your brain to remain awake because it feels like there's something else coming. So it's important to reduce screen time so that you can at least lull yourself back to rest before you eventually go to sleep. That can help.
Kieran, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I fully agree with Padre once again.
You can feel free to disagree. Feel free to disagree.
Yes, but Padre is dropping some very nice nuggets for us. I agree with him. And to the point around prioritizing bread over bed or something. That's how you put it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I think it's a reality for a lot of young people today who do not mind working. I know some people who work 14 hours a day. Yes, and even more. Yes, just to make sure that at the end of the day they are doing fine and the economy is not crumbling them or something. Yeah. And I do agree again with Padre that it definitely leads to mental exhaustion. So, I mean, at some point we all have to take breaks. So I don't know what the answer is today, but if you're not sleeping well, you are going to get exhausted for sure.
I think first of all, the first thing is the awareness. Yes, you may be doing well now. You may be getting by now, but it's not always going to be this way. You're not always going to feel like 20.
Yeah.
As soon as you cross 40, your body now starts to tell you that, hello, you're not as young as you and nimble as you used to be. So you have to slow down. And some people say, oh, I'm used to it. It's my lifestyle. Okay, but don't wait till you crumble. Because once you crumble, sorry, it will be like a Humpty Dumpty. It will be a Humpty Dumpty something.
All right. Thank you very much, Padre. And thank you, Kieran. This has been a very, very enlightening conversation. Yeah. I know better now, and I know you know better now. Thank you too for staying with us till the very end. If you have questions concerning how you have felt lately, maybe you do not know clearly how you feel, or maybe you're even feeling confused, I'm sure that as you have listened to this video, you know better. So please drop your questions. Do not hesitate to drop them in the comment section. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominican Media. Follow us at CFF on TV, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I remain Evelyn Iwoha. Till next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye-bye.
Bye.